You are watching ADTV, Area Director Television, brought to you by the Area Directors, Franchise Services of Choice Hotels International. ADTV.
Hello, welcome to an episode of Tips and Tricks. The first thing I'd like to discuss with you is Windows tiles. So in Windows 10, you have tiles that you can use for shortcuts to access your computer programs. So to get to your programs, on the bottom left of your computer desktop is the Windows icon. You can click on that, or you can also click on the Windows button on your keyboard. Along the left-hand side here are all the programs that you have, and you can see it could be a fairly long list. On the right-hand side over here are tiles, and some of these move and they're called live tiles, or they get updated with information. This is a weather tile right here. But if I want to add a shortcut and add a tile over here, I'm going to use Microsoft OneDrive as an example. Normally just click on this and it'll open up the program. If I want to create a shortcut, I left click and I hold it and I drag it over to the tile page. And I can resize this tile by right clicking and then go to resize, and in this situation I'm going to go small. If I want to resize it back to a medium size tile, I can do that. I can also left click and hold it and move it. And so I can organize these tiles in any fashion that I'd like. So pretty useful. So what I would do is set up your most frequently used programs here so you can click on them and access them. The next tip I'd like to show you is how to do split screen. And so in this example, I'm going to show Chrome and Microsoft Excel on one page and split it. So I'm going to first start by opening up a Chrome tab. And to enable the shortcuts for this, you're going to use the Windows key and the arrow keys on your keyboard. So I have my Chrome page displayed. I'm going to hold down the Windows key and use the left arrow and go to the left-hand side here. Then what I can do is on the right-hand side, I can pull up another program here. In this situation, I'm going to pull up a Sales Action Planner. And I want to make this appear on my right side of the screen. So I'm going to hold down the arrows key and hit the right button. And now I have two different programs working on one screen. Now I can also move these screens. So if I left click on the top taskbar up here, I left click and I hold it. What I'm doing is I can drag this screen and I can go back to full screen, or I can also take this and now I'm going to move it off my main monitor over to my secondary monitor on the right side in this scenario here. So my monitor is on the right, and then I can go back to this program and run full screen. So I can work between two different documents. I can also use two different documents or two different Excel sheets on one page. So I'm going to go ahead and split this, and I will split this to the right. So Windows key to the right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up another Windows Excel spreadsheet. Excuse me. And this is now full screen. So if I hold the Windows and then to the left, I now have two Excel spreadsheets on the same screen. So I can actually work between both documents fairly easy. Then I can minimize both of these. Now another shortcut for this is zooming in and out. And so I'm going to pull back over my Chrome web page. And if I hold down the Control key and I hit the plus button on the keyboard, it's going to zoom it in. If I hold down the Control key and hit the minus button, it's going to zoom out. Now I can also hold down the Control key and scroll with the wheel that's on my mouse. So I can do scrolling in and out, which is pretty handy. I can also do that on an Excel spreadsheet. Let me pull up an Excel spreadsheet here. And again, I'm back to my dual split screen. I can go full screen here. And again, if I hold down the Control key and scroll in and out, I'm scrolling in with my mouse. So I can adjust this so it's very visible for me to see. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Close this one out. And another tip is to go full screen in Chrome. So there are times where, I need more real estate on the screen, and across the top I see, web pages and programs that are running. But a quick tip for this is if you hit F11 on the in Chrome, you can go full screen. So now that top keyboard or the web address and all those programs running in Chrome are not showing. To get out of full screen mode, I can hit F11. So when I use this is if I'm showing a star report to a property, I can go F11, go full screen, and then I can zoom in and out on the star report, make it pretty easy to see. So pretty useful tip and trick there. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. So now let's talk about some shortcuts in Outlook and some tips and tricks. First thing is the favorite folder. Utilizing this just makes your life, I think, a little bit easier. So by default, you should have a favorite folders up here. And what this is just shortcuts to folders that are down below. So in this example, I'm going to make a shortcut to a favorite folder for my EMV file here. So what I do is I left click and I just drag it up and I'll place it between the Pat Mandis folder and the Gary Overton folder. So what I have here is just a shortcut. So the folder still remains below here. It's just a shortcut to drag and drop folders on. If I want to remove it, I right click on it and I can remove it from my favorites. What I like to do is keep a list of shortcuts to my sent folders, my deleted emails, a drafts folder, my junk email. I do occasionally get emails that are get stuck in the junk email, the Pat Mandis folder, and then the Gary Overton folder in my situation here. So a couple of things here also is you can set up basically a rule to ignore junk email. So here's an email that I don't need to look at a regular basis, and I want this to go directly into my junk file. So if I right click on this and I go down to junk, I can go to block sender. So emails in the future will now go directly into the junk folder. So on my junk folder, a quick tip: if I want to select all of these at once to delete them all at one fell swoop, I can hit Control A and highlight all of these, and then I could go ahead and hit delete and they would delete out. Now there are times that I don't want to delete all of the emails. So in this scenario, I'm going to keep my first email and my last email, and I want to delete everything in between. So what I would do first is select the first email. And then before I click on the last one, I'm going to hold down the shift key and then I'm going to left click. Then what it does is it highlights from here down to here. And then I can go ahead and hit delete and delete all those in between. And again, if I want to delete the remaining two, I can hit Control A, highlight the two emails in there, and I can go ahead and hit delete. Now there are times when you'll receive an email and you want that email to go into two different folders, or three or multiple folders. So in this situation here, I've received the committee minutes and I have three properties that are in that, and I want to keep a copy of each one of those emails in each one of the files here. So before I move the file from my inbox to one of my properties here, I'm going to hold down the control button. So if I hold down the control button and then left click, and I'm going to move this to KS127, and I'm also going to move it to KS128. And in both of those transitions there, I held down the control button. And as you can see, when I go in there, there's a copy of that email in there. It's also still in my inbox. And then I can also go to KS128 and there's a copy of it in there too. So it makes a copy. So just drag and click, and again it's control and then left click and then move it over. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that in this situation. And my last shortcut for you today is going to be in a PDF. So I'm going to pull up a PDF. And normally when you're in here, this is the default view. You'll have the tabs across the top here. You'll have some shortcuts for editing over here on the right. But I'm missing a lot of real estate. So in a PDF, if you hold down the control button and hit the L button, it will take you to the full screen mode. So again, Control L took me to that. Now I can also zoom in and out with the Control key and the scroll button on my mouse, or I can hit the Control key and the plus and minus button on my keyboard. So I'm going to zoom in. So I'm going to hit the Control button and hit the plus, and I'm zooming in. So now I'm zoomed in and I can see the document better. I can also hold the Control button and hit the minus key and zoom out. Now to get out of the full screen mode, all you're going to do is hit Escape. That will take you back to the default mode for the PDF. And from there you can close out. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.